What if everything you have deemed as impossible really was possible? What have you known and believed was possible your whole life? You just didn't know how to actualize it. Come and discover a world of infinite possibilities on Outside the Impossible with Venus Castleberg. On this show, we will share pragmatic tools to create the life and living you truly desire. And now, your host, Venus Castleberg.
I'm here with Moira Bramley. I was actually looking at Moira's website, and I love this tagline. I came from nothing. I have what most people would judge as too much, and I'm still asking for more. I don't know how to introduce you any better than that. So that's a brilliant thing. And I would love for you, if you're willing, to just share with us a little bit about your story. Coming from nothing.
Cool. Okay. Hi, everybody. I was born in a small Scottish mining village called Tullabuddy, I've heard of, in central Scotland, and it was a very depressed town, an air of hopelessness where nobody really did that much, and the poverty was quite high. The level of poverty was quite high, and I was brought up in some people would say dire poverty. I mean, when I talk about it now, people go, that was dire poverty. And I'm like, really? I mean, I had food. I always had food. There was one Christmas day we didn't have food, but we mostly had food. So I did walk to school with holes in my shoes. I used to put plastic bags on my feet so that I'd keep my socks dry, and then I'd put my shoes on the radiator when I got there. And I used to look around and go, I wonder who else has holes in their shoes. I wonder if it's just me. And apparently there were not too many people with holes in their shoes. So whatever your life is like, it's normal to you. To most people, their lives, the situations they're in. I mean, when you're children, it's just normal, you know. So I chose at a very young age to have money. It took about 4 years from the day I chose it until it showed up. And I stepped into large amounts of money really fast. And it served me in one way, but it didn't serve me in many other ways. So I trained to be a psychotherapist at the London Spectrum School of Psychotherapy. And at the end of the second year, I left because I knew that it wasn't what I was looking for. It focused more on problems than it did possibilities. So I left that, and 3 weeks later I found Access Consciousness, which was 17 years ago, and now I facilitate in many countries around the world. This year I have a different country every month, so how does it get better?
How does it? That's awesome. So what was the turning point for you? How did you make that decision for yourself?
It was being so fed up with poverty. I was like, I ain't living like this. And I knew as a child when I came in that I was different. I was very aware of energy. And I was very confused why everybody didn't acknowledge all the energy around about us and everything that was going on. Everybody spoke about very minimal, small stuff. I was like, okay, so what about this? What about that? Nobody talks about anything. I'm like, what is that? And apparently I was just way more aware than most people. And I also knew as a child that I was very alone. I was like, oh, what is this? I knew when I came in that there was something missing. And it was connection. For me, it was connection. My parents were very not connected to themselves, as most people aren't very much, I've discovered. And so I was searching from a young age. Well, how do I get to that? You know, what is that? And at school, I was a loner. I was weird by most people's standards. I would try and be with groups, and I was so bored, and I just, you know, I was like, well, this is just stupid. I don't get why they'll talk about this nonsense. And so I was always very different. So I've been a seeker right from I came in. So the more that I'm talking about is more of me always, and creating more, and how I can be more in the world, and what I can be that can create as much change as possible.
Could you speak a little bit and just share kind of like what was that for you when you turned it around? You actually created wealth beyond, I don't know
Yeah,
if you
what
could
it
imagine
was.
that, but yeah. What was missing?
Yeah,
for
I'm a
you?
multi-millionaire now, and I live in a castle in Italy, a beautiful castle that's full of antiques, and it's a hotel and a conference centre and a restaurant, and it's glorious. I live at the top of a hill in the most beautiful countryside, just outside Torino, and I travel to a different country every month. So I turned it around at age 10. I watched the movie Oliver, and I don't know how many people have watched that movie. I don't know if it's a very old movie. It's about a child who's an orphan, and he's in a life of misery, and he is basically being put to work as a thief, and he lives in an old warehouse, sleeps on a stone cold floor, has hardly any food, and he falls into a coma, sick of his life. He wakes up, his real parents have found him, funnily enough, around the age of 10, and took him back. When he woke up, he was in the most beautiful Georgian, I can't remember if it was Georgian or Victorian house in London, with chandeliers and a fire in the hearth, and he was carried in a warm breakfast on a silver tray by a maid, and I was just mesmerised by this, going, wow, I wonder if that's possible. And I got at that time that family was just, it's a creation that doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It doesn't have to be, I looked around and I was like, I don't like living in this family. I would like something different. So I befriended a young girl who moved in, 1K away from me, in posh houses, brand new houses. And I lived more at her house than I did my house, and they had a life of luxury. So I started to step into the energies of what her life was like. And I looked around at wealthy people, and I looked to see what energy they beat, and I stepped into being the energy of money. And I just learned from wealthy people. Okay, how do you be? How do you attain wealth? How do you, be with it? So that's where it started. I was like, okay, I wonder if that's possible for me to have money. And it was just a choice. I'm having money no matter what. I'm having money. I ain't living a life like this. So that's what changed it for me, was a choice right there and then. This is changing. I'm not living like this. So that's when it changed for me. Literally, I made a choice, and then I started to follow the energy of what would get me there. Mm-hmm. And the first place was the friend. It's like, okay, I would like a life like hers. And then I went from there and expanded it 100-fold. So that was my first place of, that was where my search took me. My first place of becoming more aware. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did say that once you actually ended up having the multi-million dollars, there ended up being something missing. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I got married. I had 2 children, and moved into a $12 million house on the beach in Jersey and the Channel Islands. And when I moved in, I was like, okay, if this is it, there's something wrong with me, because I ain't happy. So that's when I was training to be a psychotherapist, and the search took a swerve. It took a new turn then. I was like, okay, dealing with problems isn't working. There's just another next problem and the next problem. And I never seemed to solve the problems. I was living in a marriage that wasn't working for me. I was dead. I had given up the joie de vivre. I had given up curiosity. I had given up life. I was just existing. So I started looking for, okay, what else? What else is possible? What does it take to be happy? So when I started Access Consciousness, I started to discover all these new tools, and what was most relevant in my world was I discovered that, yeah, finally somebody's acknowledged that we're energy. And it was Susie, I don't know if you guys know Susie Godsey, who's an amazing animal communicator. She said to me, Moira, you function more like a dog than a person. And I'm like, So I'm highly aware of the energy, and I'll listen to the energy before I listen to the words that come out of people's mouths. So being acknowledged, being an energetic being, I started to see myself through a whole different lens, and I started to look at energies that I was comfortable with and energies that I was uncomfortable with. Since then, I've been working with constantly changing what I've been willing to receive and what I've been willing to be, and to be aware that every time we come to a conclusion or we judge, we stop our energy, we diminish our energy. We stop the flow of energy that we are, so we diminish our very being. Oh, many, many, many things, feelings. As soon as we go to feelings, we diminish our energy. We lose our very being. We become the feeling, and we're gone. And I could go on and on and on. I could talk and talk and talk about all the ways that the way this reality is set up. There's ways. It's just hooks us back into limitation after limitation after limitation and fitting in. It's all about fitting in here. If we don't fit in, we go way back to cave days, clans and tribes, and if we don't fit in, we're ostracized and we die. Literally back then, if you weren't part of a clan or a tribe, you didn't have the medicine woman and the hunters and everybody had their own jobs, yeah? Mm-hmm. And when you were banished, you died. So, many, many tools. I'm sorry, I probably fried you. You're probably thinking, I don't know where to go. She said so much.
No, it's great. And you can talk for an entire hour. That's great. So I have heard you say everything is energy. Could you maybe explain that a little bit to maybe somebody who doesn't know what that means?
Well, I mean, I looked at it when I started Access Consciousness. I'm like, this is grade, in UK it's GCSEs, which is leaving cert science. This is, you start learning this when you're 14, 15, 16, that everything is made up of energy. Every single thing is molecules, and molecules are energy. A being, you are energy. A dog is energy. That's how you can communicate with a dog or communicate with anything, any animal. It's energy. I mean, during the tsunami, the animals hit the hills before the waves hit. They were safe because they're aware of energy. We cut it off. We make ourselves really stupid. So I was like, okay, no matter what it takes, I'm going to become I was aware of energy, but I'm going to become so in tune and communion with energy that I can manipulate it. And then within probably 5 or 6 years, I became aware of me as a being with minus my thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And I was like, wow, that changed my reality dynamically. I was like, okay, everything is just an interesting point of view. It really is. I mean, when I first heard that in Access, I was like, what does that mean? It means that it takes more than one person to align and agree with something to make it a reality, to make it, And I don't know how much people know who are listening to this, but Access Consciousness really is about looking at what you know and what works for you, and it never excludes the world or anybody else. It's about what actually works. Everywhere that we're choosing points of view that don't work for us, we're just like diminishing ourselves and our lives. So I looked at first when I heard create your own reality, I thought, well, you'd have to be myopic and live in a bubble and make yourself really like delusional, and then when I actually started to get the awareness of what that was, okay, so I get that if I live being grateful for everything, it expands my life and it gifts to everybody. That's just one out of a billion awarenesses. So gratitude is an energy, sadness is an energy, joy is actually our natural state of being. It is energy, but that's who we be, without all of the gunk on top. So I started to look at people beneath the image and the facade and look at the energy of who they be, and I would relate to that. And that's what I do now. I relate to the being, not the image or the facade. And that changed my life dynamically. So, money, I go around the world and I teach people about how to be the energy of money. And it's astounding that people they don't get that they're energy. I mean, everything is energy. Science tells us it's GCSE level, a childhood education. Everything is energy. And we never take it any further. We leave it at that. We leave it when we leave school. We never explore it further. And if everything is energy, then energy is changeable. Energy is created and it's changeable. So when I go around the world and I'm showing people how to be money, I'm astounded at the amounts of points of view that people have around money. They don't want to be money. I mean, they don't choose to be money. They balk at it. They have so many judgments around it. And they say, yeah, but I'd like more money. And they don't get that they are energy and that money is energy and that they are separating from that energy. And then they wonder why they don't have more money, why they can't get more money. Because they judge it. And anything you judge, you separate from. So in that, and I've heard people, people have asked so many questions about how to do this or how to be that or how to make this easy. And I'm like, well, you have to connect with the energy first. And it's discomfort. We've been told that this energy's right, this one's wrong, that one's like embarrassing, this one's that one's this. Morals, principles and values. And we've been taught so much nonsense. And people are so disconnected from themselves that they're not living. And I know because I was. I was like, wow, this is what it's like to live. When I started to get more and more aware, I was like, wow, are we at break already? You have to interrupt me, Venus.
No, the music hits you. So we will take a short break. We'll be right back and talk more about energy.
Okay.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at omtimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Who said life had to be hard and disempower you? What if all of life really could come to you with ease and joy? What if everything you saw as a wrongness of you was actually one of your greatest strengths? What if you could wake up every morning with a newfound sense of empowerment? Join Venus Castleberg to discover a world of infinite possibilities. Every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, Morning Musings goes live on the Venus Castleberg CF Facebook page. What magic can we create every day?
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
This is the story of a very special woman. Just a few knew about her superpowers. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Moira Bramley, and we're actually talking about everything is energy. You said something before the break, Moira, and I know some people out there are probably going, what? Like, you are not your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, thoughts, feelings, and emotions are invented. when we come in as children, we are pretty much forced into becoming that. We come in and we want to know how everything works and how should we be, and we look to our parents, and our parents indoctrinate us with thoughts, feelings and emotions. How do you feel about that? Oh, I'm sorry you feel like this. And we're literally, indoctrinated, and we also entrain to thoughts, feelings and emotions. And it's thoughts, feelings and emotions are the lower harmonics of perceiving, knowing, being and receiving. That's how we truly are designed to function. We perceive energy, we receive, we know. There are things that we just know. We don't know how we know them, we just know them. And we be, very few people be, but we're designed to be, and being is when you have no thoughts, feelings and emotions. You just interact with the energy of everything. I mean, my son said to me the other day when he came in here, I said, could you open that box for me? I need to know what's in it. I'm waiting on this coming. And it was just a box that had glasses on it, a picture of glasses. There was nothing on it. And he said, it's light bulbs. And I said, well, can you open it? How do you know it's light bulbs? I haven't ordered light bulbs. He said, it's light bulbs. And now this is a person who will argue that energy isn't the most dominant thing on the planet. And he's always saying to me, like, well, how do you justify that, Mum? You come out with these things, you say these things, and what's your reason for saying that? And it was so funny because I just was laughing. I loved it. And we opened the box and it was light bulbs. And I said, okay, so how do you justify that, Prince? So, I mean, there are so many people that go, no, yeah. We're aware of energy. We're aware of energy of objects. We're aware of energy of animals. We're aware of energy of weather. I mean, the gardener here at the castle will say, well, no, I can't come and do that in 3 days because it's going to rain. And I'll say, oh, you've looked at the forecast. And I've gotten to know he doesn't look at the forecast. He can smell it and he can feel it in his bones, and he's aware when the rain's coming. I am aware of what's going on across at the castle. I'm like, okay, I can perceive this going on. Okay, I'm going to go over them. I need to go over and deal with this. So I can perceive what's going on in the town where I live. I can perceive what's going on with my sister. I can perceive what's going on with my sons. And we all can. We just cut our awareness off that we know we can. Because it's not supposed to be. It's like airy-fairy, but it ain't. It's not airy-fairy. It is. Energy is real. And when people connect with their very being, it freaks a lot of people out. It's intense. It's a level of intimacy that most people aren't willing to have. When you connect with your very being, it's so intimate. It's beautiful. And if you can connect with your being, you can connect with everybody else's. I used to wonder as a child why I felt so alone. And it was only when I truly got into Access Consciousness that I realised that's because people aren't home. Nobody there. Gone. Not present. And I was like, wow, this ain't me. Wow, this ain't me. This is other people. So, thoughts, feelings and emotions are created. If you choose to feel sad about something, it never creates more, ever. But we choose to create it. I mean, if somebody dies, we automatically go to sadness. It's set up in the universe, that energy already, and it's expected, so we just jump into it and get sad. We never question if there's anything else we can be. I mean, there are some cultures like in Mexico, for example, they celebrate death. There's quite a few cultures that they'll celebrate it. They'll have a party and celebrate it. They get happy. If you get divorced immediately, you're supposed to be sad. So many things that's set up. You're supposed to be. Sorry?
Instead of jumping down the street with joy. Yes.
Yeah. So you must. It's like I can't. be that happy. You know, my aunt just died. I can't have a great time. I have to look sad. I mean, there are some cultures you have to wear black for 2 years. And mourn for 2 years. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you imagine? Oh, I'll have to look miserable for 2 years and mourn for 2 years.
And how many of them are actually celebrating? It's like, woohoo, they're gone.
Yeah, yay! But I mean, you're supposed to feel, you're supposed to emote, you're supposed to think. You know, how many kids have been told, think about what you're doing, think. Yeah, we're never taught to be. We're never taught to. I mean, how many parents ask their children, "Well, is that man a nice man? Well, does he like children? Well, what's going on for him?" And nobody ever asks kids that. You know, say hello, be polite, give him a kiss, give him a hug. Where's your manners? And you're standing there going, "But he's a paedophile. But he's a paedophile. But he's a paedophile."
Right.
You know, that was what I was subjected to as a kid. Well, give him a hug. And I'm like, no, he's a paedophile. I ain't going to give him a hug. Where's your manners? I don't have any right now.
Right. So I think I've heard you say that most people are actually uncomfortable with energy. Why is that?
Well, there are very acceptable energies, you know, and there are very unacceptable energies, and most of them, well, you know what? Energy, full stop, is uncomfortable. Because if you connect with it, it's intense. So if, I don't know, say you met somebody who was very sexually attracted to you, and you weren't sexually attracted to them, and you were standing next to them talking, most people get uncomfortable. Especially if that person's overt about it and they don't hide it. Yeah? You're going, I don't know how to be with this, I don't know how to deal with it. So there's a lot of these energies that are supposed to be embarrassing, shameful, you don't know how to deal with them. And a lot of us don't want to highlight that energy because we don't want to embarrass the other person or have the other person feel bad. And that's not just that thing, that's to do with, you know, jealousy, you know, lack when it comes to money, you know, oh, I don't want that person to know that I know. We'll just hide it, and oh, I'll pay. You know, there are billions of energies that people are uncomfortable with. Or that person's having a hard time. I'll stay away from them because I don't know how to be with them. That's uncomfortable. I mean, how much do people go through life hiding their very being, and disconnecting from other people's beings? I mean, New York is a great example of people have their personal space, and there it's like. Everybody puts a bubble around them there, and it's a very small bubble. And don't go in anybody else's space. You know, this is what I'm talking about. It's the separation that we all believe we are. It's like, don't come into my space. I don't diminish my space. My space is in everybody's space, or they're in my space. You know how some people will give you a wide berth because they don't want to come into your space? Mm-hmm. It's because it's too personal. It's way too personal. And personal is a construct. Personal is only if you have secrets and you're ashamed of your being, or you don't want people to know your life, you know. That's what personal is. That's judgment. It's all judgment based. If you had no judgment, you wouldn't care about being in people's space or them being in your space. In consciousness, there are no secrets. There is no shame. There is no jealousy, there is no, you know, stupidity and gossip and, you know, creating less for people. There's none of that.
So how would you say, thank you for sharing that, and how would you say that you, like, what are some tools maybe for people to be able to change that so that they're not so uncomfortable around energy?
To walk up to an energy or let an energy walk up to you, and no matter how uncomfortable you think you are, because it may be the other person's discomfort, push the barrier down to it and embrace it more intensely than you ever would. And even turn it up. Be with it. And go, no matter what it takes, I am not going to shy away from this energy. It's just energy. And most of the times, what it is, well, not most of the time, every time, it's judgment. If you shy away from an energy, it's because you make that energy bad and wrong. Or too good and too right, that you can't have it. That's another side of the coin. It's like pleasure. Most people can't receive a level of pleasure that's too intense. And there's a lot of wrongness in pleasure. I mean, being hedonistic is such a crime in this reality. You know, to enjoy everything and to enjoy your body. Most people aren't connected to their bodies. And most people aren't connected to the planet. So embrace energies, demand that you stay present with them. If you get present with your body and you get present with the planet, your life expands dynamically. So put your awareness on your body and keep it there. And ask what it would take to connect your body to the planet and to connect the planet to your body.
Wow, that's just, there's so much space in that, so much.
I know, there's a lot of information. You change one thing, you can work on one thing connecting to your body and it will change your whole life. Our bodies are there to create our lives. I mean, if we didn't have a body, we wouldn't be around. We wouldn't be around here. You know, I mean, we have a body for a reason, to live in it. It's taken me years to step into more and more of being connected to my body and enjoying it. And I wasn't connected to the planet when I started Access Consciousness. And when I did get connected to the planet, I cried and cried and cried. Because of the gratitude it has for us. And I would highly recommend to everybody to watch a documentary series. It's on Netflix called One Strange Planet. And it's about astronauts who go into outer space and they are looking at what they can do and be for the planet to stop us from killing it. And by series 6, I was on my knees crying. I was like, wow. You'll start to change your perspective to a level. Our bodies are designed to live on this planet. What we don't know about astronauts is when they go into outer space, you don't hear about their heads swell up. Their bones diminish and get brittle. They start to degenerate, literally, and their lives don't have the quality up there. They talk about the separation that they perceive dynamically from the Earth. They talk about being in the capsule, the space capsule, like being in a prison capsule. They're cut off from the energies of the planet. And there's bacteria down here that we can't survive without. We have bacteria inside our bodies and outside our bodies. Gravity is something that our bodies absolutely require, and that's why the bones start to waste away. The fluid in our bodies has a dynamic shift when you go into outer space. The body is designed to work with gravity and with oxygen and with bacteria on the planet here. And watching that will change people's perspective about their body and the planet, and the gratitude that I stepped into even more. When I step outside, or yesterday I was in Cervinia skiing, and I was like, oh, just the level of joy and gratitude I had to be on the planet. Now, some people think that they're on a prison planet. They're here in a body, and like they didn't choose it. They're suffering. They're having a miserable life. It's only lack of awareness that creates a miserable life. That's it. Lack of awareness. Nothing else. It's a lack of connection with yourself, your body, and the planet, and what's possible. Sorry, I do give a lot of information fast. I apologise if it's too much, too fast.
No, I love it. You're communicating an energy too. Definitely in a beyond. I'm like,
yeah,
awesome. What were some of the ways that you started to even just connect with your body and the earth? What were some of those?
I started to watch, I noticed when I watched movies that I was gone. I was in the movie. I was literally, there was no body. I was gone. My being was in the movie, and was inside other people's lives and bodies, and I was gone. And I got this when I watched my mother cut my sister's hair one day. She had beautiful long hair, but when she went out in Scottish wind, it would get all tangly, and my mother hated to brush it in the morning when she was going to school. So she said, please let me cut it, Carol, please. And my sister would keep saying, no, you are not cutting my hair. So one Sunday, when my sister was sat watching a movie, I watched my mother cut my sister's hair right into a bob. And my sister had no idea her hair was being cut. And and I remember her absolute horror when she went to flick her hair back when the movie was finished and it was gone. And I started to notice where I did that. I would eat a meal in front of the TV, and then I would go, I'd look around and go, did I eat that? So I would eat food and not know that I had eaten the food because I was so in the movie. So what I started to do when I started Access was I started to watch movies, and I would keep my awareness on my breathing and on my torso. And as soon as I was in the movie and gone from my body, I would bring myself back to my body, and I'd go, okay, be aware of your body, be aware of your body, be aware of your body. And it took me a long time. It was like patting my head and rubbing my tummy to be able to watch the movie and stay totally present with my body. And it made the movie so not real. It was like watching pictures on a box. It was bizarre. And then when I would jump into the movie, my body wasn't real. It was gone. So that took me 6 months before I could be present with my body. And then I would meet people on the street, and that was a whole new game. I'd meet somebody and I would start to talk to them, and I would be in their body. It's a capacity that a lot of us have that we don't recognize. We jump into other people's bodies and their being to see what's going on for them, and to see, I mean, with me, I was brought up with an alcoholic father, so I would jump into his body to see how safe I was and what was going on, you know. Until Gary Douglas said to me one time, are you aware you jump into people's bodies? And I said, I do. And it was my son who has been doing Access Consciousness for a lot of years that taught me. He said, Mum, put a piece of Perspex in front of somebody and don't go past the Perspex ever. He said, you can perceive their whole world from way out there. You don't have to go in. So it's getting onto the journey of consciousness. There are so many pitfalls and so many things that we have to get aware of, or you don't progress. And being present with your body is a priority. It's an absolute must. A lot of the capacities that we have, we can't step into them if we're not present with our body. So now when I meet somebody in the street, I know exactly what's going on with their body, and I even know when somebody has cancer. I can perceive it. But I don't go in now. I don't go in. So this is how we can develop it. We can develop it to a degree that we can literally perceive our own heart, the 4 chambers. I can sit and go boom, 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 and I can perceive the 4 of them. That's taken me a long time. But you look at Gary Douglas's middle toe, and he knows. He can perceive the exact toe you're looking at, and he's not looking at you looking at it, but he knows the energy is on that toe.
Well, we'll talk
Are we finished?
After this short break. No, just a short break. We'll be right back.
A short break. Okay.
Yep.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
The student asks the teacher, "How do I experience transformation?" The teacher replies, "When the student is ready to receive deeper answers, the student then asks, 'How do I know what deeper questions to ask?' And the teacher replies, "When the student decides to commit to a practice inviting transformation, Level 2 questions will be revealed." Hi, I'm Tomas Garza, and as a teacher and host, I'm inviting listeners to enroll in the Mastery of Transformation by joining me on Decide to Transform, your bridge to Level 2 Answers, Tuesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm here with Moira Bramley, and we're talking about everything is energy and people's discomfort with energy. Welcome back.
Hello.
Before the break, you were talking about like how much you had to really practice at being present with your body. Would you be willing to walk us through maybe an exercise on getting present with our own bodies?
Well, if you right now put your awareness on your breathing. Yeah?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And put your awareness on your feet touching the floor. Are your feet touching the floor right now?
Yes.
Now, and as you're talking over the next little while, this is going to be an ongoing thing for the rest of the time we're here. Watch when your energy comes off of that, when you're distracted, and then ask yourself, sorry, this might get a bit advanced, but ask yourself, okay, where have I gone? What's distracted me? Have you jumped into my body? Because you don't have to be standing next to somebody to jump into the body. Are you in my world? And that literally is bringing yourself back and bringing yourself back and bringing yourself back and bringing yourself back. You have to really be choosing it to succeed at it. Now you're not going to talk. And that's the other thing. You find that you tune more into energy than you do your head. When you're in your head, you ain't in your body. When you're in your head, you're not being. So when you're in your body and you're aware of every energy around you, you're being. You're being far greater than you are when you're doing thoughts, feelings and emotions and you're not in your body and you're in your head.
Do you ever find that you're actually, then you have less to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Energy
and there's
I mean, we communicate with energy, so if you communicate with energy, there's almost like less words to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's less you want to listen to as well. Because most people talk from their head, they don't talk from energy. You'll notice that when I'm talking with you, I'm speaking from energy. Everything that I'm saying, I'm being the energy of. So a lot of people will talk from their head and there's no energy there.
Right. So what would you say to, I actually know somebody who's like, I'm trying to communicate and I don't have words and it's just energy. And then the other people that are around are going, well, we all speak energy, but they don't really understand it. How would you talk to people about communicating more with energy?
Well, you have to, for people who are not energetic, you have to use words. Attach the energy to the words.
Okay.
And people get far more energy than they're willing to know. And where are you right now with your breathing and your feet? Where are you gone from it?
Oh, I was paying attention to my breathing, but I had forgotten about my feet.
You've forgotten about your feet. So just keep bringing yourself back to your feet. So just keep bringing yourself back. Wiggle your toes every minute, every half a minute. Wiggle your toes. Or your knees. You know, a lot of people literally have parts of their bodies that they can't feel. I never used to be able to feel my thighs. And I literally remember the day I stepped into feeling my thighs. I was like, oh, I can feel my thighs. Oh my goodness, I can feel my thighs. And it was some energy that we had cleared that had taken a point of view about my legs. Yeah.
Oh.
So that's, if you're asking now, you know, see how long you can keep your attention on your feet and then move it to your knees as well, your feet, your knees, and your breathing. And then watch acutely, be aware of the energy, every little nuance of energy. And I've gotten to know, okay, right, is that mine? Or is that coming from somewhere else? And I'm way more aware of what's mine and what somebody else's until I'm in a room full of hundreds of people, and then sometimes I really struggle, to be honest. It's getting easier, but the more aware you get, the more intensely aware you are of everything. And you don't often know. If you're not clear on your reality, I mean really clear on what's true and real for you, and what your point of view is about something, or whether you have no point of view, you get mixed up and embroiled in other people's energies. It so seems like yours. You know, but if somebody comes into your environment and they're chatting with you and they're really jealous, for example, and you go, all of a sudden I'm feeling jealous. If you don't know that you are not a jealous person, you'll buy it as yours because it so seems like yours. There's no separation. I have an American staffie, and if she's scared, she'll start to bark at... If somebody's scared of her, she will start to bark at the person that's scared of her. She thinks that fear is hers. They don't do separation, they do oneness, you know. Right. And believe it or not, dogs can be autistic. They're highly, you know, aware of every single energy, and they react to it. We're the same. You know, if somebody marches up to you angry and tells you what for, how many people get angry back? It's very few people that stay totally calm and don't be affected by it whatsoever. Some people are shocked, some people go to withdrawal, some people will go to as much anger back, they'll match the anger, but very few people can have their feathers not ruffled by it. And it's taken me years to get to that.
Right.
Practice and practice and practice.
And I would imagine that it was also the practice of not jumping into their worlds, not jumping into their bodies as well, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Okay, this is mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say, okay, so now people are starting to become maybe a little bit more present to their bodies, still paying attention to feet and breathing, and they notice what you just said, like, there's a part of my body I can't really perceive. I can't, it's numb, or it feels like it doesn't have any feeling. What would you recommend they do to that, with that?
I would get somebody who's really aware with bodies to start asking questions, ask them questions. And also body work. I don't know, I didn't realize how access this was until I heard some of the adverts, etc. But there's access consciousness body processes and bars that change the molecular structure of your body dynamically. And if there's something that you can't change by choice, you change it in your body and it will change it in your life. You know, if you make a choice to, for example, if you make a choice to stay connected to your body, like permanently, and that's a thing that you're on and off until all of a sudden you're so much more on than you are off, and then you keep going, and then you cannot not be aware of your body. I cannot not be aware of my body constantly now. Every second of every day, constantly, I'm dynamically aware. If somebody walks up to me and they have contraction in their spine, I'll perceive it. If somebody walks up to me and they feel sick, I perceive it. And it so feels like mine. It's just an ongoing demand that you have the awareness that you're asking for, and then you can take it and expand it into so many different aspects of your being and your, well, not aspects of you in your very being. You can take it and expand you and your life dynamically and step into being greater and greater until people actually are a bit nervous being around you because you're so intense and aware of everything that's going on for them. And we think we're not aware, but we get when somebody's aware of us. dynamically,
Right.
because it seems very intimate. It's like intense. It's like, whoa. You know, have you ever had a young baby look at you, like stare into your very being? And as a teenager, I remember like, wow, why is it so uncomfortable when babies look at you intensely into your being? They don't flinch, they don't look away. They just look at your very being. And the same with some dogs. My dog is so intense. She looks at you and she doesn't look away until you get what she's trying to download, you know. She'll just stare at you, and it's intense. A lot of people are saying, oh my God, I'm nervous. Why does she look at me so much? Why is she looking at me so intensely? Can you tell her to not look at me? Oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. And I'm like, you're fine, relax. She's just giving you information, or she's asking you something, you know. So yeah, practice, and ask somebody to facilitate you. And body work. Body work changes your life. Change your body, you change your life. You can't separate your being from your body. Change your being, you change your body. You change one fixed point of view, you change the molecular structure of your body. You change the molecular structure of your body with a specific energy, and it changes that energy in your life. It works both ways.
So what would you say to, like, let's say there's, you know, a lot of people maybe bite their nails, or they pick their cuticles, or they pick their skin. What sort, is that energy that they're aware of? And
yeah,
do they just ask questions?
Yeah, usually it's where they are so dynamically aware of the energy, like, how to put this into words? It's if you're not comfortable with the energy, and you have an intensity of energy, there's a nervousness goes on in your central nervous system. If you're not at peace with energy, your central nervous system is like being overtaxed. And most people function on adrenaline. We function from adrenaline and we don't know it. And you can't be. If you function from adrenaline, which you're doing, and you're like a hamster on a wheel, and what do I do next, and what do I do next, and what do I do next, you can't be. And that's another thing that body work does. It creates a peace in your body and a peace in your very being that there would never be nail biting or skin picking, sorry. It's just nervous energy.
So
and some people do it to keep themselves.
Keep themselves.
Yeah, go on.
No, please.
No, well, like, well, there are different behaviours like that some people use to actually get themselves present. Some people pull at their hair, and some people. I mean, if you take it to the extreme, autistic people bang their heads on the wall, and they do that because they're so intensely aware of energy all around them that they hit their head on the wall to try and get present here now with themselves and their body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was a really great exercise. I'm going to have to really practice that one. I didn't realize how often I held my breath.
Exactly.
So I was like focusing on my breath. I'm like, wait, I'm holding my breath again. Why am I?
Yeah.
So that's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Moira. How can people find you? Find more about what you're up to?
Well, I have a website, www.moirabramley.com, and I have a free Zoom on the 6th. There's 500 people signed up for it at the moment. That is on my website. I have classes every month in some country in the world. What else? Wow, my head's blank right now. I'm all over the place. I can't recall at the moment.
Awesome. And where can they find?
But my website has
free Zoom. Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, 1 second, please. Hang on. Jess, is that free Zoom on my website? It's the link is ladymoira.com/2020. ladymoira.com/2020.
Awesome. and then people can find you there. Any closing thoughts or closing energy that you'd like to
You know, I used to, just one thing that I would like to put into people's awareness of, when I first started Access Consciousness, I used to make myself so wrong for not choosing what I thought I should be choosing, or what I liked the idea of choosing. And I would phone somebody and say, but I don't know why this isn't but I'm choosing this. I don't understand why I'm not. And then I would realize that I liked the idea of choosing it. So I would just say to people that you're not wrong if you don't choose what you think you should choose. When you're ready to choose it, you'll just choose it. You won't think about it. It's automatic. You just step into choosing it. So no choice is wrong, and there's no wrong choice, and there's no what you should be choosing. It's like, just relax and enjoy your life.
Well, it couldn't be better said. Thank you so much, Moira. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Venus.